I'm so excited. I'm so upset Jordan's not here because he offers such great insight as a young person entering the industry.
Oh,
So you know
well,
my house because you've been in my home before.
yeah. I'm trying to think, is that like part of the kitchen, if I recall, or no?
No, this is my office. I'm working from home, and my
Yes.
folks are supposed to come in December, and my dad loves to watch TV. So,
Yeah.
so I created a little den in my office.
Oh,
I got
cool.
a couch and a TV, and then here's my desk looking out on the. Actually, I think you were in the guest. Did you actually stay with us? You were in, didn't you?
No, we were there for dinner. I think,
Twice,
was it?
because you came with your friend from Whole Foods, the guy that I'm helping with, or I gave him some feedback on his chip company, his
Did
coconut.
McKeon? Was McKeon there with me? I think Mike was, right?
Yeah, Mike was with you one time, and then another time it was with the two moms and the raw team.
Oh
So
man, yeah,
you've been
boy,
here a couple of
your
times.
memory's better than mine. I'm getting old, Sherry.
Well,
I'm,
I remember that time because you met us, and then something really auspicious happened. Like you heard from somebody you hadn't heard from. I don't remember the whole thing, and we were instantly connected. You said something, and this is a great thing because I know you're doing something that is. I read about what you're doing, and it's pretty amazing. It's about kindness and just about
oh
humanity.
yeah, so you mean so my friend Jeff Slater wrote that article,
About you, yeah,
the
because
balance
that's
sheet
what.
of human equity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's who
that's
you are. And I can't wait to hear a bit about what you're doing. But anyway, when you came and stayed with us, there's something that happened, and then you got a call from someone you hadn't heard from in a while, and you had been, I don't know, and you attributed it
yeah.
to
We're
being in our
well,
home.
we're definitely connected on a number of different levels, and that's just my good fortune, I guess.
Oh yeah, yours. I feel
How's
so.
Greg? How's Greg and the kids? Everybody
Greg's
good?
great. Yeah, Greg's great. He runs the ops. Oh, let me just begin. Okay, everybody. My name is Shari Leidig. I am the founder and owner of founder and CEO of No Brainer Foods, Max Sweets. And I started in the industry with MS, multiple sclerosis, started a raw foods company where I met Mike and Two Moms on the Raw. And now we've pivoted to No Brainer, and it's a success. And we're meeting amazing individuals in the industry like Mike. And so now I'm going to continue, and then Mike, you'll introduce yourself. Greg is my husband. He works on the ops side of No Brainer. And so he's at the kitchen. I'm at home, which is a very good remedy for married people who work together. And my kids are great. They're coming home. Well, two of them will be here for Thanksgiving, and Sarah, who's at Columbia, will be coming right after Thanksgiving. So
Great,
yeah,
great, great.
crazy
Well,
times right now.
yeah, it's terrific to, I like to say that despite the challenges of distance and time, our friendships always endure. And this is a classic example of
There
that,
you
Sherry.
go. And you willing to do this with us. I know how busy you are. So can you introduce yourself, Mike, and tell us a little bit
Sure.
about your background?
Yeah, well, thanks, Sherry. So my name is Mike Schall. I've been in the food industry literally my entire life. I started out as waiting tables in my father's restaurants back when I was I was waiting tables before I could reach them, and
Where
I
was
did my
this? Where were you waiting tables?
Los Angeles.
In Los Angeles. So you're back in LA. Okay. That
Yeah,
was
and
California.
so I grew up in the food industry, and it's my career in the food industry has been kind of like bumper bowling. You have the cushions in the gutter, you careen from side to side, you get a few pins down, and I've had the great fortune of working with extraordinary thought leaders and mentors, and just over the last 10 years, up until last January, it's November of 2020, an auspicious year. In January, I left Whole Foods Market after about 10 years of advising and becoming a team member to now investment banking, which I affectionately call investment banking fantasy camp, because I've been an operator most of my career, Sherry, as you know.
And so you have a partner in this, correct?
Well, the firm I work for is called Focal Point Partners.
Oh, I know. Oh, okay. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's a middle market investment banking firm based here in Los Angeles. We have offices in New York, Chicago, and Shanghai.
Oh,
We
wow.
have 60 professionals. If you count me, 59. And I'm being facetious, of course. And my unique role as part of that is co-leading the food and beverage practice as really an operating partner. So when I say investment banking fantasy camp, what I mean is that I bring the expertise of 40 plus years of being an operator, a food business executive, and actually the last 10 years as a merchant to what is an incredibly gifted and talented group of real investment bankers who seek to provide either exits and or opportunities for entrepreneurs, capital markets, raising capital, and or in worst case scenario, distress situations.
So then what sort of things do you look for in the brand? Like what would come to your attention as, do you bring opportunity to the table, or do they ask you to sort of look at the opportunities and
well, it's a little of both. I mean, obviously I've come to the industry with a lot of relationships, enduring relationships. My intention is not to necessarily go out and have somebody sell their company, but if they come to us and say, look, we are contemplating an exit. In some instances, we have mature entrepreneurs that have built larger scale businesses. We're middle market, so those are, typically good-sized businesses, and people come to us and say, look, we've taken it this far, we're contemplating an exit, we're contemplating a capital raise, can you help us? In which case, my role is not only to leverage those relationships that I have and build on the relationships, but also give them, along with our bankers and our thought leaders, a really good look at the business, and perhaps create a valuation equation and determine what possible next steps could be in their futures.
Oh, that's great. So do you ever choose to, if there's something exciting, maybe a team member sees something, because I know a lot of these firms are starting very early in, when on like sort of like, oh wow, that is a great idea. We love the people running the show. We want to get in here now and have a relationship with you and kind of grow. Yeah.
So Focal Point's relationships are vast. In fact, I can tell you from January until today, which is mid-November, I've probably had over 700 calls and or Zoom meetings or Chime meetings or whatever you want to call video relationships with private equity firms, private investors, family offices, venture funds, and companies that are seeking ways to create value, right? So, but Focal Point, our vast relationships are with folks who are typically looking for an acquisition or an investment.
So they come after you, really, in a way.
Oh yeah. So they seek us out, and then what we do, if it's like a sale process or a capital raise process, we create a very competitive environment among those who are seeking the value in that asset. And so we hope to maximize, whether it's an entrepreneurial company or a private equity company in a process, we hope to maximize everybody's outcome to be just extraordinary.
So the reason I really wanted you on the call, because you've gone from, I mean, you were the CEO of Manischewitz. You literally launched brands for Whole Foods when you saw like vegan brands and things like that. So you have like huge CPG experience. You consult along the way. You consulted for Two Moms on the Raw at one point. And we've just been in touch because we love each other and we see each other all the time. I'm sorry, people are sure. And so why I wanted you on is because it was interesting. We had just we've been, this thing is sort of getting popular. So we actually have a little bit of a waiting list for
Thank you.
Yeah, it's Jordan.
So
that's why he's a major go-getter. Like he's a recent graduate of Yale, and he really loved what we're doing in the space, and he asked to work with us, and we said sure. I mean, it didn't happen that easily, but it is happening now. So when we interview people, you get all different sorts, and one of the interviewees mentioned he was from Scratch Labs. He's a doctor, and what he talked about was kindness, and about the fact that you can still get to the finish line by being a nice person. And I just wanted I just wanted you to share a little bit. We don't have to share our own little personal experiences
Yeah.
But I would love to know when you see people and when you meet them and you've met them at Whole Foods and you've met them, you know, along the way, and you see that really, like we both have seen with two moms, we've seen that really aggressive, not very thoughtful person, and you've seen somebody who is thoughtful and kind and actually is you know, vulnerable, and there's full of humiliation, and just, I'm really thinking about the other person right now. How do they get to the finish line? What is your experience about?
Well, you know, that's a great question, and one that we could probably do in multiple adventures here. But I think it all starts with your core values. And if you focus your core values on the right things, I think people will get to the finish line, and they'll get to the finish line with an extraordinary result. And what I mean by that is I have just kind of put mine into play. I work for a living, right? I'll always work for a living, and I have these amazing opportunities to work with people that I love and care for. But my four core values are very simple, Sherry, and I think that if people subscribe to this, that at some point in time they get to the finish line, and they're very simple. It's treat people the way you hope to be treated, not the way you expect to be treated, right? Because if you set an expectation, invariably somebody may get.
We're going to be letting down. Somebody's going to be
right. Yeah. So you try to treat people the way you hope to be treated, and when you get a result out of that, it's a surprise. It's a gift, and then you feel really good about it.
Right.
Right. So that's the first thing. Number two is devote 100% of your attention to one person at a time. So treat people the way you hope to be treated. Do so with one person at 100% of your time. So, you know, it used to be before these Zoom calls and video calls, you're on the phone with somebody, you could check your stocks, you put on somebody on speaker, you could, you know, work, you hear the keyboard clattering in the background. And I think being present is something that people perceive, they get it, and it elevates the relationship that you have with one another when you're present.
So then you treat someone 100%. Can you just repeat that second one? You treat someone, because I want to write these down.
So if I wasn't on video now, I shut my video off. I'm 100% focused
100%
on the relationship, and I'm 100% present on what we're talking about now, and not doing an email, not checking my stocks, not looking at my email inbox, which is all too easy. It's too easy.
I know, it's so easy to do.
We're so geared to multitasking today and efficiency and getting things done. And the way you get things done is like this, like connecting and being heartful.
So do you feel tempted to do other things and you actually will, and you don't? Or was it natural for you? Because it's.
I think it probably comes natural for me, at much to the chagrin of others who.
Yeah, a chagrin of me who likes to.
No, I don't think so. I think you'll find after this call and in subsequent experiences that you will recount this. So treat people the way you hope to be treated, not the way you expect. Do so one person at a time with 100% of your attention. And then the last two are really interesting, is just be humble and be grateful. And that doesn't mean that you can't drive a hard bargain or negotiate with fervor or rigor or enthusiasm and try to really manage for the best outcome, but be humble and grateful. And I think humility is probably one of the most powerful weapons.
Interesting, I mentioned that. I didn't know you were going to say that, but I did mention it because you are a humble human being in my life.
Well, listen, once again, it sort of comes natural to me. That's why I say investment banking fantasy camp is what I do, because their DNA, and they're extraordinary, and our team is incredible. Right. They're just wonderful human beings and great core values, and they want an extraordinary outcome. But that also comes with sometimes that real edgy, like, we're going to make the maximum and deliver on what we can do to create maximum value. But that doesn't mean that humility and gratitude can't be a part of that.
It can't be. So when people are building teams, because a lot of people who are watching this are either an emerging brand and they're
Mhm.
looking, or they've been in it and they're a little stuck, so they're looking for some tips. Would you say that when you're going to hire people, try to make sure they share your core values?
Without a doubt. I mean,
100%.
first of all, you have to have the fire in the belly. So with small brand, medium brand, any brand in any segment, you have to have the fire in the belly. And also, it's really helpful if your brand and your product stands for something.
Right.
You know, sustainability, regenerative agriculture now is coming into its own. I'm vegan. I'm plant-based.
Wait, I'm going to send you, actually, I need your address, Mike, because I have some vegan mallows.
Okay. Oh,
Came out.
great, great.
Yeah, so
But
I'm going to get
I
it.
think, you know, I started out as a nutritional vegan. I became both nutritional and ethical vegan. And I think that if brands and products stand for something, it doesn't have to be vegan.
No,
It can
I get what
be,
you're saying.
you know, but it stands for something that resonates with the way people want to live their life and
Yeah.
feel fulfilled, whether it's flavor, culinary, nutrition, whole foods, plant-based, any number of things. It's gotta resonate with the target audience.
Or health, like for whatever I create. There's a sort
Correct.
of health.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's great. So, I mean, I just think that every time I meet you, I feel like I've just one more feather in my bonnet and like another, and no, it is. And it makes me self-reflect and it makes me want to do things a little better. And then of course I forget a little bit and I go backwards, but then we meet again like today.
Yeah.
And so we're building out No Brainer, we are attracting young individuals like this.
Great.
Yeah, it's great, and they're excited and they're eager and they're brilliant, and it's just if you take a minute just today, take a look at our website and our whole new look and feel, and yeah, we're pretty excited.
Well,
but, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, you know, I want to obviously acknowledge your extraordinary success and excellence. You know, success and excellence also go together. What the Wall Street Journal thinks of me and what my wife thinks of me as terms of a success may be a little different, right?
Right.
But excellence is a standard, an objective standard. And I want to acknowledge you on both fronts, because as long as I've known you, from Two Moms and the transitions into No Brainer, you've always exhibited that passion for excellence, like doing it the right way and doing it. And that's also part of the DNA for these emerging young brands and businesses.
Yes, I agree.
They want to do it right, not only from the product, but from their heart.
Yes.
And I know that sounds strange to many, but the reality is, you know, everything has to be in alignment.
It has to be aligned, and that's interesting you say that, because I think a lot of brands are out there and they want to be authentic and they want to be transparent, but then you look behind the curtain, you don't always see that. You know, I'm noticing it because Jordan, I mean, he scours the world for brands and he sends it to me, and then I do some researching and I'm like, oh wow, this is really cool. And then I go on their website and they have all these things. I'm like, well, where's the founder? Wait, where's the story? Or, you know, there's all this stuff, and I'm thinking, I hope these brands succeed, but I see that not happening. Actually, I see something lacking, and it's interesting. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with a lot of these emerging brands. A lot of things are happening right now in the CPG space.
I think in general, the democratization of knowledge, right? Like, you know, social media more than ever has leveled the playing field, and it's very easy for you to see who's the Wizard of Oz and who's Dorothy.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Isn't that true?
You get a peek behind the curtain and you know exactly who you're dealing with, who their investors are, who and where they came from, and really what drives them. I mean, that's all available now. You know, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe that wasn't necessarily available.
No, it wasn't.
Pre-pandemic and direct to consumer, remember, most choices with social media were made in the four walls of the grocery store.
Exactly. And DTC is now, I mean, that is the channel, right?
Yeah.
The others are on the fringe right now. And you just made me think of that because, I just lost my train of thought. Yeah. Well, anyway, I completely agree with you.
You know, where people get their knowledge. I mean,
Where do
That's, and now now we just,
you do
check
this?
it out.
Oh, that's it. You can now go, you can now go on Facebook and you can go into somebody's I mean, not their personal, but their business account, and actually see where they're spending their dollars and how they're using ad spend because
Yeah.
of the transparency of all this political stuff with Facebook.
Right.
Now it
Right.
applies actually to your businesses. There's no privacy on Facebook. Everyone should know this, guys. You could literally go to any company, go to the back end and see what they're spending on ad spend.
Yeah.
I kind of find that a little creepy, but talking about transparency, I mean, there you go. And see how
Well,
people
I think to your point earlier, how do you evaluate a brand? How do you make choices about brands, whether you're a consumer or whether you're providing services, right? You want to align with people that live and hopefully share your values. And that's part of the challenge today. In the last couple of years, this diversion and diversity of values and how people judge has just become it's pretty challenging.
it is challenging. And so what do you think about, so I'm, I'm a veteran now, right, in this industry. I'm in early 50s. And there you have people like Generation Z, right, in their early 20s. And they're, where is the market? Like, who's driving the values in the marketplace from the consumer point of view?
Well, I still think that early stage businesses, venture, technology are bringing extraordinary opportunities to the marketplace. And, not all of them will succeed, but all of them will learn.
Right. Yeah, everybody will learn. Yes.
Everybody will learn. And then, the circular flywheel there, as they say with the Amazon flywheel, and whomever is learning, adapting, continuing to learn and adapt. And at the end of the day, we're going to be we'll succeed or fail on how we're judged by consumers.
Right.
Whether it's food or apps or flavors, whatever it is. And I get asked that all the time. It's like, how can we create a point of difference? And I said, you need to understand how your product or service, flavors, application works with your target audience.
And how are you disrupting? What do you think about disruption? I know people use that word a lot, but I mean, I think it is crucial. I see it in politics. I see it in all success stories. That person, whether we think it's successful or not, right? Because there's it's all about how did they disrupt?
Well, disruption is a result of somebody probably finding something that they like better than they had in the past that was considered mainstream, and it becomes new and novel, and it has a breakthrough. And there, just like in the old days of consumer products marketing, you have early adopters, which are disruptors now. And those early adopters somehow communicate, generally through performance marketing or social media or word of mouth or some other form of knowledge base that kind of creeps out into the marketplace. And what was thought of as a disruption is now just a line extension.
Yeah, a line extension, yeah.
Right. So
yeah, it's something now, are you thinking about all of this when your teammates bring you a brand? Or are you just looking at the dollars and cents?
Well, I'm not always looking at the dollars and cents. I'm looking, I sort of, the lens that I look through is those 4 core values, right? I mean, what resonates with me personally, as I mentioned to you in that article that you—
Oh, that's such an amazing article. In fact, I think I still have it. I'm going to try to post that on LinkedIn.
Yeah, balance sheet of human equity. It's like, how can I help?
Yeah.
I mean, and ultimately, if you add value, the dollars and cents happen, right? When you're helping and you're adding value, ultimately, if you've done your homework, your values are consistent, you treat people the way you hope to, not expect to, and you practice humility and gratitude, the dollars and cents happen. Now, in investment banking, the objective is clearly to create an exceptional outcome.
Right.
And that exceptional outcome is for a seller and the bankers, and everybody wants literally an exceptional outcome. If you define that by the most dollars, that's okay.
Yeah.
There's no harm in that.
No.
I mean, we're all capitalists and we all want to be prosperous.
Yes.
But as long as you put it in the context of your value system, I think there's nothing wrong with trying to get the most and the best and the most extraordinary outcome you can, as long as everybody is consistent in what their thinking is in that outcome. Nothing wrong with it.
It's amazing. It's such, I think that you offer so much, and they're really, really lucky to have you. I mean, really.
Oh.
So, but before we end, and Jordan usually asks this question, the question is, if you had 1 hour each at the end of the day, and you could do anything in the world, what would it be? What would you be doing?
Well, if I had 1 hour, the first thing I would do is, if they were all in one place, is I would give my wife's here 42 years, so she's here. But if I had 1 hour, I would sit down with my daughters and my 3 granddaughters and my sons-in-law, our little family, and I'd probably read stories.
You'd love to do that.
I'd love to do that. And in the absence of that, I practice mindfulness. And as part of that practice, I visualize what that's like. So I visualize spending time. We live in Los Angeles. We have one little girl here, my granddaughter, and my daughter and son-in-law, and our other grandkids are in Atlanta.
Right, that's where you were. You were there.
Miss them terribly. We, FaceTime is great, but there's nothing like waking up in the morning and having a 5 and 7-year-old jump in bed with you and ask you to put on.
You actually didn't you live with them when I met you? Didn't you live with them at one point?
Yeah. We sold our home. We moved in with the kids. The kids moved in with us, and we had the total nuclear family experience, which was awesome. But I think the 1 hour a day is to really, whether it's reading stories to your grandkids or giving people hugs, is what can I do to make our lives a little bit better, right? Both for ourselves and for those we love and care about, and that doesn't exclude business, right? Not at all.
No.
But I think it's just making things a little bit better in a time, and most of our lives are challenged with all kinds of things. You, if anybody, knows this, Sherry, the challenges that you've experienced in your personal and professional career. But, taking the time to reflect on how fortunate many of us are, and in the same breath, identifying ways we might be able to help those less fortunate.
You know what? It's so true. And sometimes you get so pulled in and so focused on what you're doing that wouldn't it be nice at the end of the day to take a self-inventory and say, hey, I did this, I did that. And
exactly.
that it makes you feel just better about yourself. I am not high on that list lately because I feel like I've been scrabbling and just working a whole lot. But it makes me want to think twice, putting the dish away from my husband, or, whatever it is that I could do to make things.
Yeah, I think reflection, self-reflection every day is really creates.
I don't know if people in their 20s realize that as much as people, older.
Or 60s.
In their 60s or in their 50s. I mean, I wonder. I mean, I think I've always sort of been introspective that way because and so, well, but I don't know if you can be self-reflective, but you might not actually make the changes that are necessary the next day. Yeah. So maybe that happens in your 50s and your 60s.
I think we can give the younger folks in our industry and in the world a little more credit. They're thinkers, and yes, they have more technology and they have more knowledge where at their fingertips today, but we need to give them more credit because very soon they're going to be the generation that's leading us, and we need all the help we can get.
I agree with you, but I also I do agree with you 100% because I have that. I'm raising those children and I want them to succeed, and And, you know, and now I'm working with people that age, and I'm enjoying it immensely. I do
Yeah.
think people have, you know, I think the idea of, you know, working really hard and getting to the end goal is always, that's for everybody. It doesn't come easy. Nothing comes easy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We all have to work hard, I think.
I think, you know, early on in my career, I worked for a guy, and it was one of my greatest mentors, Richard Frank, whose father founded Lowry's the Prime Rib, calling that kind of an interesting oxymoron, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm vegan now, and
Yeah, exactly.
I remember working for Richard. He had both his code of ethics and his business philosophy, and he told me one day, in addition to all that, he said, Mike, you know, just remember, you know, do good work hard, do good work, don't give up.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, that's really it. That's kind of what I live by.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. You know what, Mike, I want to thank you so much for just taking your half hour today to be with me.
Oh,
And I'm going to share this, and I want your address because I want to send you some mini Max vegan mallows. They're adorable.
okay.
And
All right.
and now, are you going to be able to celebrate Thanksgiving with your LA family?
Yeah, with our LA family.
I know you're enjoying the California thing, right?
Oh yeah, it's great. We miss the kids, but let me close with this thought. One of the things that we all practiced at Whole Foods Market over the years, and it's still something I think that's somewhat alive and well there, is we used to talk about appreciations, and at the end of our meetings, we would go around the room and we would just appreciate people, right? Not thank them, but appreciate them, which was really cool. And so in that spirit, I've carried that with me, not only from Whole Foods Market, but in presentations that I make and webinars and talking to people and having meetings. And it goes without saying, Sherry, that I want to appreciate you, for first of all, for having me as a guest and me to shine with you, and appreciate you for what you do for others in our industry, because you, as a thought leader, as a woman entrepreneur, as somebody that has those beliefs and core values that we share, I just want to take a moment and appreciate you for that, and what inspiration you give to others through doing things like this and creating really awesome products.
Maybe, and putting yourself out there. It's not easy sometimes putting yourself out there.
I know.
Right?
I know. But you
And
do. You do.
And I think everybody needs to have a Mike in their life. So if I can help make that happen with this little Zoom, bring it on. Well, thank you, Mike. And I love our continued friendship, and I will keep you up to date with what's going on with Max. And now that I'm an active member of LinkedIn, which I really wasn't before, but now I'm seeing the value of that, you'll hear more of what's going on.
Well, if there's anything I can do, it's like the article said, if there's anything I can do to offer guidance or help to you or people that we know.
There is something you can do. Following this call, I need your address. And if you can just include that article again, because I do want to post it, because it really, I shared it with my inner circle, and I just thought, oh my God, this is amazing. And what's interesting is I actually thought that's what you were doing. I know you live your life that way, but I actually thought you figured out a way to make money. I thought, oh, this is what he's doing now. So
that's byproduct, Sherry.
Yeah,
that's
your product.
That's just the byproduct. Living your life right is good and wonderful.
Yeah.
The byproduct eventually helps you pay the rent. So
it is. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You do. You walk the talk, man. All right. So good to see you. Love seeing you, and take care.
Love seeing you too. Thanks for the time, and message is on the way shortly. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.